You are live. You are live.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Sachin Tong. I'm the Global Director for Standard Chartered Bank Data Privacy Advanced Analytics. And today, my topic is Next Generation Data Intelligence and Governance for Cloud. Um, so, before I deep dive into the presentation and share my details, I would like you to spend 1 or 2 minutes on the structure of the presentation, the way I've structured for you. Uh, the most important thing to really appreciate the next generation data intelligence and governance is to understand the evolution of laws from a data perspective. So in this slide I will talk about how the evolution of data laws has happened, and it is still evolving, and it is very dynamic, and it has not only covered the entire globe. It is not like that few countries are ahead, few countries are very stricter than others, but at the same time the evolution is around the globe. Then we'll talk about why data governance is required and why do we need to govern our data. As we all know, we are in pandemic time. Data is the most important asset, and the data is the new oil, which is a very common statement. Now I think people have gone little further. It's data is not the new oil. Data is the new source of w- we call it as platinum or whatever the most important asset is. Then we'll talk about data protection. And sometimes people get confused about data protection and governance, so I think it is always good to get data protection aspect and the governance very clear in the mindset. Then we'll talk about what are the key actors or the players of governance, who are the people where the governance activity is most important. And then we will talk about why data catalog is so important. Why do we need to create a data catalog, and what is the role or what is the importance of data catalog in driving the great governance program for any organization. Then we'll talk about POC and prototyping, just to do a quick wins, because agility is the most important thing. um, Gone are the days where we used to work in a waterfall model. People need quick results. And yesterday I was reading a quote that uh, perfect is not the ask, because when you are trying to get something perfect, perfect never gets you the things to be done. um, Doing things faster is much more better than not doing anything, or trying to aim for perfection. So I think quick wins is more important in today's world. And how do you convert quick wins into a bigger wins, or how do you scale across? Then of course any program, whether it is governance program or any other, you need to measure the success and failures. And to be very honest, I consider failures as as a blessings, because the failures gives you the makes you learn the best, or the best message comes from your failures. So I think this is the structure of the presentation. And I promise the presentation will not be wordy, but it will be more infographic and more pictorial to share the concept better. And I'll be very happy to receive your questions, or you can connect me offline as well. And I do have my website called www.sachintong.com, so you can reach out to me via that as well. So let's jump into the first part, which is called evolution of data laws. If you look at this, starting from Canada to EU, all the way to India, Argentina, the entire world has been covered up. Right now the main focus of organizations, especially in the European and the US market, is to align with GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, which is from the EU regulators. Uh, but we do have PDPA from Singapore perspective. We have Monetary Authority of Singapore for India, RBI, and there are a lot of local regulations, global regulations. And this whole slide talks about that there has been evolution, and still we are evaluating. You might have recently seen or noticed, and we all use WhatsApp. WhatsApp has shared the data privacy policy, and people reacted very strongly, and they had to put a pause on their data privacy policy, and 3 months later they will roll out. The policy was about sharing the data with the parent company of Facebook. And after that, Elon Musk tweeted that, use Signal, and leave WhatsApp. So this shows the importance of data, the privacy, and the regulations, and data sharing. So now let's look into why data governance, right? And what are the key reasons why data governance exists, or what are the key factors within the organization or from the outside organization where the governance are there. So I call governance requirement, or I divide the requirement into two parts, which is called internal demand. Internal demand is the organization internal ask or internal demand, which is which is your in-depth analysis. You need data to do the analysis so that we can come out with new or better products or decision making. Agility for growth, real-time operations. Then external expectations are that the customers are always very dynamic, and they want new products, they want continuous better services. Then your regulators do expect that you align yourself with GDPR, MiFID, or any other regulations. Then also you have an external expectations to grow the company in terms of doing M&As, or acquiring some more companies, or expanding your business. So for all these aspects come together, these are the key reasons why do you need a proper data governance. And if you look at the data governance part in it, the data governance is just like in a, for example, in a human body, heart is the core. Your data governance is the core, because any organization is revolving around data, and data governance is a heart of that organization, where you actually make sure your analytics, your monetization, artificial intelligence, regulatory compliance, real-time monitoring, and consolidations are coming together. So these all pillars are talking to each other to give the best results, using the data governance kind of with a framework. So that's why we call data governance, and that's the key importance this slide is trying to show. Now, how do you achieve data protection, or what is, so I say that data protection is just one part of the governance, and but in this slide, governance I have shown separately, because governance is a much bigger kind of umbrella activity, and protection is one of the aspect of governance. How do you achieve data protection? You need to have a proper governance structure. Then you need to have a proper policy. When I say that, okay, if a company is capturing customer data, what is the policy of sharing this data with third party? That will be a policy. How do you capture the data? How do you destroy your data once the data is not required? All this is a part of policy. Then processes is all about how do you capture the data, what mechanism do you capture, through a file system, do you capture through a survey mechanism, do you capture through processes, automation, how do you capture it? Awareness and training is all about how do you use this data, how do you actually make sure the availability of the data. And governance is all bringing this thing together, that makes the governance and together. Data classification is one aspect where you classify the data, which is your sensitive data, which is your super sensitive data, or which is your your not sensitive data, or a data which not, it's not a data which, where you need to have a robust governance kind of structure. So you need to classify the data into categories, and then you need the support of IT security and technology to make sure that you have the right tools and technology to make sure that all these work together in a seamless way. Now let's look at about the key the governance and the key actors in it. When I call actors, it's all about the key participation of the people. How do you do that to achieve a data governance journey, which is a continuous journey? If you see in the slide, the arrows are in both the directions. And data governance strategy, or the data governance approach, is all about striving for more. It's a continuous improvement. So we should always think about how to improve. So basically, there are four key actors in this paradigm of governance, which is called your business, your SMEs, your techno-functional people, and your PMOs. In each pillar, I have explained what exactly I mean by business and who will be the business, the people. So business will be a part of a committee which talks about business area owners. For example, in a financial industry, because I come from a financial industry, I give you an example. Your business can be a retail banking or corporate banking or private banking or wealth management. That can be a business. Then the business should define the business needs, that okay, what are I need to have a, 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 a proper analytics platform which allows me to generate meaningful analysis of my past 5 years of investments and all those things, right? It is setting up the priorities to measure the key issues. What are the requirements, what are the timelines when they need? So these are the high level fundamentals which business layout. Then you have the data owners. Data owners are the owners who understands the data. For example, in retail banking, people will understand the importance of credit card and how the credit card works. What are the key attributes of those information? So then you have a data domain experts. You have those people will identifying the CDs. When I use the CDs, it's called critical data elements, which is not the most important data elements. Then you have business rules, you have terms of reference, then you have the data quality requirements, what is required. Then you have data stewards. Data stewards are the techno functional people who understands the importance of the data, the usage of the data, the little bit domain about the data, but at the same time they understand technology also from a perspective of so they are kind of people who bridge the gap between technology and business. Some organization call data stewards as business analyst as well, but I call data stewards because they are the people who are actually playing with the data, and they are identifying gaps. They are making the recommendations how to make the data more robust, how to make the change request, how to define the metrics to measure the quality of the data, and how to cleanse the data, and how to remediate any issues. Tracking and monitoring is very important for any program. It's a PMO function, which is project management office. We do audit, we do the progress tracking, we do the documentation to make sure that whatever the initiatives we are taking, we are on the track. So ad hoc requests and feedback are also one of the aspects to do the tracking and monitor. Again, these pillars doesn't work in silo. They have to do a proper handshake. They have to tie up the goals and the roles and responsibility together to come as one aspect. So in this is one of my favorite slide, which I always share with my team, and with my wherever I make the presentations, is data catalog. The importance of data catalog is huge, and if you don't have a data catalog, you can't have a better data governance thing. So it is just like, if you are trying to build a nice house, you need to have a strong foundation. Data catalog is a foundation for data governance. So basically, data catalog allows you to answer some of the burning issues, or the fundamental issues, or the fundamental points, which is all about like, can I trust this data? Where this data is coming from? How is the KPI calculated? Who's how what data is used by my job? So basically, if you see, we are talking about data controllers, we are talking about data consumers, we are talking about data processor, we are talking about data providers. So it's all about answering questions, and answering the right level of questions, answering the burning questions. If you answer these questions, you will be able to understand how my data is flowing, how my data is coming from, where is the source reliable, is the transformation of data is reliable, is the output reliable, is there any data issues? If there is data issues, what are the issues? If there are data issues, whom to go for it? So this is the key importance of data catalog. Now coming back, coming to the new next slide, is all about having a winning strategy. At the end of the day, we are here to deliver for the organizations or for our own business. And if you want to win, you have to take some baby steps at the beginning. So we talk about quick wins, and the quick wins is all about POCs and prototyping. So you first of all identify the proof of concept which needs to be done. You can do POCs and prototyping for n number of reasons. One of the major reasons why I do is that when I think that there is some kind of innovation required in the bank or in the organization, I try to do that in a POC and a prototyping, so that I can get the blessings of the senior stakeholders, as well as the funding and the support, in order to make that prototyping into the real make it live and use it for the real world. So that is the reason of prototyping. And at the same time, prototyping allows users to give a real feedback. In my experience, I have when you go and ask, what do you want, from stakeholders or from senior people, they are always confused. But when they see something as a prototyping or some kind of product, they start interacting in a much better way. They start um, identifying the issues, or identifying the areas of improvement. For example, if you ask somebody, hey, what kind of car you need, they might say very random things. But at the same time, if you show them the basic car and give them an opportunity to give the feedback, they will say, hey, I need much more faster car. I need two-seater. I need four-seater. I want a convertible, or I want sports based, or I want SUV. These kind of things will only come when you show them the live thing. So that's why I call the prototyping and POC so important to achieve the quick wins. And for prototyping is of course, you establish the objectives, you establish the functionality, and the functionality is the basic functionality. It is not like picture perfect. As I mentioned, there is no nobody is aiming for perfect. It is all about trying to have the basic functionality, so that we can build and then develop a prototype and evaluate and allow the users to give you the feedback. Scaling across is one of the important thing, and this is again one of my key slide, which I always say. Always think about Boeing or Airbus, but start with a paper plane. It is all about scaling across. It's all about how do you move from a paper plane to Boeing or to Airbus, and it doesn't happen in one day. Rome was not built in the first day. So it is all about how approach and methodology. These are the key things which will allow you to make scaling across. If I give you an example, um, in my current portfolio, I am responsible for 150 countries across the globe. Um, and whenever I do a product rollout, or a project rollout, I don't roll out to 150 countries straight away. I start with 5 7 and then scale it to 10 20. As my confidence build up, I go to 50 or 100 countries. Then it is all about scalability, and scalability comes automatically when your confidence is high, and when you have achieved quick results. And to be very honest, when you scale across from small to big, when you do from small to big, you get an opportunity to do a lesson learn. You evolve. It is just like phone 5 6 7. Now we are at 12 Pro, and there will be more versions coming out. So it's all about scaling across. The key thing is, how do you want to scale across, what approach you're going to take, and what methodology you're gonna take. So it's gonna all some people say that we will go with the big bang approach. Some people say that we're gonna do it. One size fit for all doesn't work anymore. So that's the whole idea. Then we'll talk about measuring success. For me, the most important feedback is from the failure or from the customers. Don't be scared of failures. Failures give you the most learning. Success is always good, but at the same time, uh, don't be scared to face the challenges, face the failures will give you the lessons. And to be very honest, if there are some customers who are not happy, or they will they will they will be your best friends, because they will make you struggle first, but at the same time they will also make you help to shine, because these are the people who will give you the real feedback. And measuring success is the most important thing. And in the last, we should always aim for continuous improvement. No matter if the customer face is angry, no harm. Angry faces will give you a good feedback, but at the same time, converting angry faces to the smiling faces is always important, and you can actually do it through small scale and then taking continuous feedback. So continuous improvement is always should be on the radar. And that brings to the closure of my presentation. And I am still having 2-3 minutes. I'm happy to take any question if you have any. Otherwise, you can again connect me on the website called sachintong.com. And otherwise, you can connect me on LinkedIn as well. Drop me a line, drop me a question. Happy to connect with you, happy to discuss offline. If right now you want me to address any question, I'm happy. Over to you, Mohsin.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sachin. Another time you proved it. You are a best closer. The way you have ended the presentation, the way you have ended our conference is just phenomenal. Thank you so much. It is an honor for us to have you as our speaker. Thank you so much, and I wish to work with you in many more coming conferences. Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Yeah, and I will ask my audience if they want to have any question, they can ask right now in the main chat. Sachin is here, and he will be answering all your questions. So thank you so much, everyone, to be the part of second AI data analytics and the future of e-commerce 2021. I hope you enjoyed the conference. I thanks to all my speaker panel and my sponsor Diligence who partnered with us, without whom this conference would not been possible. Thank you so much for such a great audience and all the attendees who attend this second AI and Data Analytics Conference 2021. We will work hard and we will put together all the data professionals, all the industry professionals, and to produce such a professional conference in the near future. Okay, thank you so much. Stay safe, take care, and we will write back with another conference on technology, on data. Stay tuned to Platinum Global Solutions. Thank you so much.